And I liked it because of the contradictions in it, but it does contain violence. Don't like that part, especially as I mature. But this is the story. One bright day, in the middle of the night, two dead boys got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. And if you don't believe my story is true, ask the blind man. He saw it too. You can see why I remember that. I thought that was so cute. Okay. The second story is one that I heard before. This is why I don't like microphones, or they don't like me. It's called The Lion and the Gorilla. And maybe you've heard it before, maybe not. But it took place probably in this country when times were really tough. They were tough that way, I know, back in the 30s. And they've been tough recently. And they are still not untough. But there was a man who had a family. He'd been out of work for some time, looking hard for a job. Couldn't find a job. Willing to work for almost nothing. Couldn't find work. Getting very desperate. And he walks by the zoo. And there's a sign on the fence. And it says, "Help wanted, apply within." He grabbed that sign off the fence, went in, found the guy in charge. He said, "Are you looking for somebody?" He goes, "Yeah, that's why we have the sign." He said, "Well, I'm your man. I'm ready. Hire me." And he said, Whoa. You don't know what the job is yet. It doesn't matter. I'll take that job. I need work. I will do it." He said, "Just a minute." And the man went away, and he came back with a box. And out of this box, he started pulling something big and brown out of it. And he said, "Well, a few years back, we had a gorilla at this zoo. Big draw. It was really great. But you know times are hard. When that gorilla died, we just haven't had one, and we really need one." And then he pulled it out. It's a big gorilla suit. He said, "I need someone to be our gorilla. You still want this job?" And the guy said, Yeah, I'll do it. So he became the zoo's gorilla. And he actually got pretty good at it. It was a nice little enclosure that they had. Some water, rocks, some grass, some tree. The tree had a swing in it. And he got to the point, he could just play with the audience, with the kids and adults, and beat his chest, and he got on that swing thing and swang, and he got really good and pretty brave, because next to his enclosure was the lion. Now, the lion was an older lion, not super active, but pretty big. And he had a lot of respect for that lion. And, they didn't have any engagement, but he just did his thing every day and was bringing home some money, very happy. One day, there was a really big crowd at the zoo. There were a lot of kids, a lot of adults, and he was feeling really happy. He knew his job, he could do it, it's going good. And that lion was just kind of like coming closer to his side. He thought, I'll put on a show here. And he got on the limb and was swinging. He really swung way over the lion's cage. And then it happened. He fell into the lion's enclosure. And he's like, no way to get out at all. The lion wasn't right there when it happened. But the lion saw him. And the lion gradually got closer to this guy. And he was like, not being a really good gorilla right then, not beating his chest or anything. He was afraid. The lion got closer and closer, and he thought, what am I going to do? I can't run for it. I can't climb that fence. That lion is going to get me. And the lion got really close. And then the lion opened his mouth and said, "Shh, we'll lose our jobs. Shh, or we'll both lose our jobs." And when I heard that story, I put a meaning to it for me, because I was becoming more racially awake and economically awake. I guess I was probably in my 20s or 30s. And to me it means You just don't think about it, but under our skin, we're alike. We're all alike. Okay. This is the story I haven't ever told anybody, and it's personal. A number of years ago, I had a friend she is my friend still, she is an artist still, and she does experiential art where you can interact with the art. And I didn't really know what to expect. Something to do with the stars or something like that. And so we were in a classroom. It took place at night. 10 of us were in a classroom. We got tickets. She arranged us, let's say you're the group, and you're back against the wall. You're kind of comfortable. And in the middle of this room, she had dangling from the ceilings strips of fabric and mylar, and pastel-y, some see-through, some a little bit shiny, and they were just dangling down. And she had a radio player of some type of radio. She had a fan. And does anybody here know what little revolving lights look like? If you ever had a silver Christmas tree which shine the red and the pink and the yellow and green? Okay, she had that. And so we're like, okay, here. So she turned the lights off, and she turned on the fan and that revolving light, and she had gotten pictures from the Hubble telescope at that time of the constellations in deep space. And she projected them through the light onto these mylar strips that are now slightly swaying a little bit. They're kind of moving. They're not just hanging there. And she played this music. Artist was John Luther Adams. I believe Into the Light or The Light Within, something about light, but it's very abstract and ethereal and beautiful. And so she turned the lights off and all of this started. And at first you're like, well, this is different. This is pretty nice. Wow, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, they have to just watch it. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, you're relaxed and you're looking at it and just observing the little differences. She said, now if you'd like, one at a time, you can get up. And I suggest you walk through the hanging, walk through the exhibit. And then take your seat. So a couple people did that, and then I thought, well, yes, I'll do that too. So my experience is that I did walk through, very cool. And I don't know if it was the music or what, but in a flash, I felt I was transported into deep space. Mm-hmm. It's hard to you cannot put into words what you're feeling. But it's all with capital letters all the way through. And very profound and very connecting with the cosmos. I know that our elements that make us up are the same that are in the heavens and the stars. But it was just something that happened just like that. It didn't last very long, probably 15 seconds. And then you get, take your seat now, but you're just like, so, that is my short, but pretty spectacular story of going my space trip. So thank you for letting me share that with you. I almost brought some music that I believe was the music played, but since you have wonderful imaginations, I think you can each just imagine just for a second, because you have to let yourself go. You can't keep that critical mind. Oh, that's stupid. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Those were some amazing stories. I was quite compelled. And who would like to go next? Yeah, Elise, please.
Okay.
Yes. Please come up and introduce yourself.
I'll wear my hat so my hair doesn't fly everywhere.
All right.
I'm Elise, and I have the studio downtown here, across from the Friendly. Express, the Blue Building, the Darien Hotel, and I teach dance fitness. So this is not dancey dance, it's fitness oriented. But I battled on what song to do, I didn't know. So this one is it's from a movie soundtrack, and I'll just go for it. Okay.
You stumble through your days, got your head on low, your sky's a shade of gray, like a zombie in a maze. You're asleep inside, but you can't shake away. 'Cause you twisted every walking, thinking that your only option. But you can flip the switch and brighten up your darkest day. Sun's up and the colors blinding, take a whirl and redefine. Leave behind your narrow mind, you'll never be the same. Come alive, come alive. Go and light your light, let it burn so bright. Reach it up to the sky, and it's open wide. Your best real fight. The world becomes a fantasy, and you're more than you could ever be. Cause you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. And you know you can't go back again to the world that you were living in. Cause you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. So come alive. Attitude, all that I am and ever hope to be, I owe it all to you. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. To God be the glory for the things He has done. With His blood He has made me. With His power He has saved me. To God be the glory for the things He has done. With His blood He has saved me. With His power He has raised me. To God be the glory for the things He has done. Thank you.
That was amazing. That you have an extremely beautiful voice. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Who would like to go next? All right.
Here we go.
This gentleman here. Come on up. Introduce yourself.
I'm not much of a storyteller, but I'll try. I sure can't sing like that. And I'm sure Sally won't dance.
Check. A little bit of introduction. My name's Bill Piper, P-I-P-E-R, just like the airplane. And they pay me every year to tell people I'm not related to them. I'm new to Darien. I've been here about 3 years. Before that, I spent 20 years living downtown in scenic downtown Brunswick, in an area called Soto. And let me preface this whole performance with, this is not political. You may think it is the way it starts out, but this is not political. I lived in an area down there called Soglo, if you're familiar with that. That's south of Gloucester. And that's where all the artists live. And as a result, most of the liberals. That didn't come on, did it? Excuse me while we do a little bit of technical adjusting here. That doesn't make me sound any better, but it makes me sound louder sometimes. And I sort of didn't fit in with those guys, and they knew it. So they picked on me a lot. But back about 2016, when Bernie Sanders entered the presidential race, I remarked to them that he might be the Eugene McCarthy of 2016. And I was amazed at the number of people who didn't know who Eugene McCarthy was. And again, I have to apologize a little bit. Normally, when I tell this story, there are people in the audience that are over 60 years old. It doesn't look like we've got anybody here over 60. But I asked the 60-year-olds to help me because some of the younger people are not going to recognize some of the things that I tell you. But Eugene McCarthy ran for president on the Democrat ticket in 1968. Do y'all remember 68? My experience has been, if you can remember the 60s, you probably weren't there. What do you remember about 68? Let me tell you a little bit about 68. Tigers won the World Series in 7 games. Beat the Cardinals. But that wasn't the story that came out of the series. The story that came out of the series was, in the 5th game of the series on Thursday afternoon, the Cardinals hired an unknown jazz guitarist named Jose Feliciano to play the national anthem for this 5th game. And he played it in Jose Feliciano style, which, if you're not familiar with it, it led very directly to the Jimi Hendrix style in 1969 in Woodstock. It was a very jazzy presentation. And it was a scandal. It just covered the newspapers for days. That's all they could talk about. Had we had news TV, that's all they would have talked about. It would have been just like that balloon. But and Jose had his day in the sun. He was on the front page of every paper in the country for about 3 days, and he disappeared. Does anybody remember why he disappeared? Because on Sunday, Tommy Smith and John Carlos finished 1st and 3rd in the 200 meters in the Olympics in Mexico City. And when they stepped up on the podium, and accepted their medals when they played the national anthem. They raised a giant black gloved fist. That put Jose back on page 6 again. Ohio State beat Southern Cal for the NCAA championship, football championship. The Packers put the Raiders away to win the second Super Bowl. And Vietnam was going full tilt. 540,000 American troops in Southeast Asia. Eugene McCarthy entered the presidential contest to get us out of Vietnam. He was a peace candidate. Nobody paid much attention to him. A lot of people didn't even learn his name. But he was the peace candidate. But as I said, no one paid any attention to him until he went to Iowa and won the Iowa caucuses, or the Hawkeye caucus, I like to call them. He went from there to New Hampshire, where he took 42% of the popular vote in the New Hampshire primary, leading to the incumbent president, Lyndon Johnson, to go on TV the following Sunday and say, "I will not seek nor will I accept my party's nomination for the office of president." And he was represented then by the incumbent Vice President Hubert Humphrey. Well, this began what became, to me, the most important year in history that had ever happened. It was the year that was going to lead to history books for the next 100 years. But McCarthy and Humphrey ran kind of neck and neck for a while. But the junior senator from New York, Robert Kennedy, saw that McCarthy was getting a little more support than they thought he would. So he entered the contest, and he immediately began to sweep all of the peace votes and was winning some of the primaries. So McCarthy's brain trust got together and said they figured out they were going to do something big if they were going to win the election. So they decided to put all their eggs in one basket, the Oregon basket. And the last primary in this month of May was in Oregon, and McCarthy put all his resources into that and actually won that. Went on to the next primary, which was in California the next week. And I don't know if you remember the California primary, but it ended. It ended in the kitchen of the hotel ambassador in Los Angeles when Robert Kennedy was assassinated. The junior senator from South Dakota or North Dakota, and I never can tell those two apart, entered the contest and said he was Robert Kennedy's selected successor, and he ran against McCarthy. His name was George McGovern. He ran against McCarthy, and they kind of split the peace vote and were paving the way for Hubert Humphrey. And again, McCarthy's brain trust got together and said they had to do something special if they were going to win this. And they came up with the idea of a whistle-stop tour. Have all of you ever heard of a whistle-stop tour? This was a preferred method of campaigning for about 100 years. The candidate and his entourage would take over the last car in a train. And every time the train would stop at a depot, they'd put some sort of an act out to get attention. And the candidate would walk out on the back deck of the train and address the crowd. And if he timed it just right, He could promise to reduce taxes and increase Social Security payments just as the train pulled out. And he would never have to answer any questions. Great way to campaign. Well, they decided they were going to do a whistle-stop tour through the breadbasket of America and sweep back into Chicago to the convention on a groundswell of grassroots support. Don't you love it when I talk like that? And they did. They hired a musician, an unknown 20-year-old musician by the name of Steve Goodman to attract a crowd at the train stations. They boarded the train on Sunday night in Chicago and left out going south. Monday morning, Steve Goodman got up in his sleeper compartment, went down to the dining car to get his first payment, which was breakfast. And while he was sitting there eating breakfast, he looked around and realized, aside from the candidate's entourage, there's practically nobody on that train. There was a lady taking her 2 kids to visit her sister in Baton Rouge, and 2 guys headed to Memphis to get a job on a construction project. So when he finished breakfast, he borrowed a pen from the porter, took the other napkin off the table where he was eating breakfast, and wrote a poem. Stuck that scrap of paper in his pocket and forgot it. Well, because there was nobody on that train, there was nobody meeting the train, there was nobody getting on the train, nobody getting off the train, and the whistle-stop tour was pretty much a flop. It pulled back into Chicago the following Sunday to no fanfare whatsoever. They went on to the convention on Monday where Eugene McCarthy lost to the incumbent Vice President Hubert Humphrey on the first ballot. He went on to lose in the general election to a car salesman from California named Richard Nixon. And as the Fox News Channel is fond of saying, the rest is history. And that was 1963 or 68. The year that was going to lead the history books for the next 100 years, as far as I was concerned. And today, people don't even remember the vocabulary of 1968. Tet Offensive, Malay Massacre, Sirhan, James Earl Ray. Nobody remembers Eugene McCarthy. Not many people remember Steve Goodman. Damn few people even remember riding on a train. But to his credit, Steve Goodman pulled that scrap of paper out of his pocket before his wife did laundry. 3 years later, he put music to it. Well, we're getting a little flat on our strings. And everybody remembers Steve Goodman's song. Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 2 conductors, 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out from Kankakee, rolls along past houses, farms, and fields. Passing trains that have no name, freight yards full of old black men, and graveyards of rusted automobiles. If you know what, help me. Good morning, America, how are you? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I am the train they call the city of New Orleans. Been gone 500 miles when the day is done. Been gone 500 miles when the day is done.
I will caution you, I know my poetic license and literary license has not been revoked. I still have it. It's been suspended a couple of times. Don't go argue with your teachers about the things I tell you about history. So they have a little poetic license involved in them also. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was a great informative piece of our national history for us. And who would like to go next? I think we only have 2 people left.
Well, it looks like a picture. Now you're going to show me that.
No, I'm not even gonna amplify. I'm just gonna cozy up to the crowd here.
Or you can use a stool.
All right. You don't want the microphone?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, just introduce
All
yourself
right,
and.
I'm Doug Bell. I'm from Georgia. I got a little homestead in Crescent, 40 acres, and have a dozen chickens, and just me. But I like being off the grid, and I like the area. So I work on boats for a living, so it keeps me busy. Mostly on the yachts. I was a yacht captain for about 40 years. I kind of gave some of that up to relax a little bit. So I'm going to play for you, if I can get the same tune, a few little original melodies. One of the things I like to do is kind of mess around making old music. I apologize for that. Alright. Get my kick load. Check this thing up one time. Do one more short one for you. And call it a day.
All right, well, thank you. You got some real talent here.
Yeah.
So, and I am so thrilled that so many people came out today. This is honestly a vastly larger crowd than I was expecting. So proud of our community. And who would like to go next?
Am I the last one?
I think there's two more. All right, go. Come on up.
Oh, me? Okay.
All right. Come on up. Introduce yourself.
Yes, hold on. I'm Susan Murphy. This poem is a tribute to my grandmother and my great-grandmother. They both lived to be 99 years old.
Wow.
So I knew them a long time. And they helped me grow up and were mentors to me most of my adult life. So this is in tribute to them. This piece was choreographed to be done on a trapeze, but we couldn't really put one in here. So I will be doing a minimal dance because I don't have my equipment. And my husband is going to start the music.
Try. It's not good.
It's not going, baby?
Not working.
A little technical problem here. We shall solve it.
I'm just gonna turn this off and see.
Yeah, turn that off. You just want to press the button, right?
Yeah, I'll play there.
Yeah. Is that all the way up?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay? Informal performances are wonderful, aren't they?
All right, I'll forget this.
Yes, forget it.
All right.
My precious one, dearest darling girl, my dearest Susan. Through the years, Grandmama always began each of her many letters to me with those endearments. Can you imagine? Her love was all embracing and unadorned. Every day she blew through her own reserve. Grandmama never felt that comfortable at stand-up cocktail parties. I couldn't be on my feet that long, she said. And because I didn't drink, I never knew what to do with my hands. But she knew what to do with that big heart of hers. She knew what to do with that big heart of hers. Her love flowed out of her, an endless stream of artesian waters. Her love flowed out of her, an endless stream of artesian waters. Grandma. Now, my great-grandmother, Munsey, was one of the first lawyers in Georgia in the 1930s. She was one of the first civil rights lawyers in the South. Munsey would say to me, don't just feel. Put your feet to the fire with all those feelings. Put your feet to the fire with all those feelings. And follow your heart. You'll suffer either way. I dance for Grandmama's unquestioning, heartbreaking devotion. I dance for the love she as an orphan never had, but somehow found to give. I dance for the fierce, pioneering spirit of my great-grandmother, Munsey, and the love she voiced through her tireless fight for justice. I dance for the vision they had of a better world, a world with fair treatment for all, and the unremitting tenderness for the one. I dance for the pain of their unlived dreams. I dance for the possible fruition of their spirits living through me. I dance for all their genes humming in my body. I dance for the genes I pass on, a different way than blood. I dance in joy and in sorrow, honoring and remembering their lives and their loving. I dance, yes, I dance believing in a better world, a better world, a world where the walls between us can start tumbling down. I dance where the walls between us can start tumbling down. I dance for the possibility that our hearts can open to love, compassion, joy, and justice. I dance for the possibility that our hearts can open to beauty, to kindness, to love, compassion, and caring about each other. I dance for you. I dance for all of you. I dance for me. I dance for them. I dance.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry I miscounted. I believe Miss Katie is our last person.
I was going to read a poem or two, time permitting. So maybe I'll just read one. And hopefully we can do this again. I've lived all over the United States.
Austin. A week from today, Thursday at 2, we are showing the movie here in this room. The following week, Thursday, February 23rd, we are having a book discussion on Pride and Prejudice, Thursday at 2. The following week after that, the first Thursday in March, we are doing recommendation group. If any of y'all saw the last video on our Facebook page and on our new YouTube channel, we live streamed our last recommendation group. You can come and share any books, movies, anything of that nature that you enjoy. And then the following week after that, which is going to be March 9th, an incredible local historian, Queen Mother Eunice Moore, is going to be giving a presentation on the weeping times of Butler Island. And if you are at all interested in local history, I would highly encourage you to come to that. Any of you who have kids, grandkids, small people in your lives, we have kids events every Friday and most Saturdays. We have preschool toddler story time every Friday at 11, and we have different programs for preschool and school-age kids on most Saturdays. We have flyers about it out in the lobby. If you don't have a library card, why not? You're here. Come sign up. And again, thank you all so much for coming. You're all amazing, and today's been incredible. Thank you. Don't forget to get some cookies, tea, juice, water, assorted Diet Coke, assorted beverages, cookies, and anything else that might give you pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Good. I enjoyed that.